Focus on Wellness is brought to you by our Simply for Life locations in St. Stephen, West St. John, and Sussex. It's a lifestyle, not a diet. Hi, I'm Jesse Dunfield, and this is Focus on Wellness. Today we'll be talking to Ashley Vautour, an acupuncturist in St. George. But first, life is like a 10-speed bicycle. Most of us have gears we never use. Today we are talking to Sean Kelly, owner and operator of Coastal Bicycle here in St. Stephen. Sean, tell me what got you interested in biking.
As a kid, summer evenings, just biking around town and having that much further you could go and explore. So I think what I originally loved biking was the autonomy, how it opened up new worlds to me. Later on in life, I probably took a pause, and then probably in my mid-20s, got a bike again, and really loved kind of some of how it let me see the world.
I can imagine there are different types of bikers, different types of tribes, if you will.
There's lots of different ways people love to bike. There's the people that love to have performance as a focus, and they love to go fast and they love to go long distances. And of course, if you want to go long distances, you have to be focused on, you have to take in performance as an element. So they wear streamlined clothing, their bikes are as light as possible, they're aerodynamic, and those are the people that you'd see out on the one, biking alongside the highway, alongside cars, which it's great you can do here in New Brunswick. You've got the mountain bikers, which are in the forests, and they normally call that single track, where they're going on a small path through the forest, lots of dips, lots of turns, lots of hills, lots of tight corners. You generally have a lot of suspension for that because you're taking a lot of bumps, and you need to cushion that. You've got and then you've got people that they like to incorporate biking as kind of their everyday, and that's where I would fall in. I love to just have the bicycle part of my everyday life. So whether I'm going to the grocery store, whether I'm going to work, whether I'm just biking around town to a friend's house, that's how I love to bike. I love my bicycle to get me places functionally.
Tell me about the bike shop. What do you do here?
Well, we're the only bike shop in Charlotte County. So we keep a full stock of almost everything you could get. I would say probably 95% of all bikes that come in, I can source the parts right here in my inventory. So one, you don't have to take a trip to St. John or Fredericton. Two, you've got someone who's based in the community who you know you're going to see around.
What are the benefits of biking to health and wellness?
I mean, there's so many benefits. There's the obvious physical benefits. Anything physical is going to be good for you. It's a low impact, so you don't have to worry as much about your knees. It's easy to do. It's accessible to do. It's relatively inexpensive to acquire a bike, to maintain a bike, and to keep biking. So on the physical aspects, there's numerous things to physical health. Mental health, I think there's just as many, if not more, aspects of that. Because when you're out on a bike, you're in your community. So when you see people walking in the community, you say hi to them, and even if you don't say hi to them, you see them, you're walking around. The more people out and about, the more I think you feel attached and rooted and centered in a community of people. So I think biking really has a chance, or really connects you to the physical world, as opposed to driving places. You're closed off. Sometimes you have the windows open, but it's still not the same as when you're biking. You're really that much more present in the world around you. There's the environmental benefits, which also I think benefit mental health. If you know what you're doing is contributing to a better society, a better environment. That feels good. I love the feeling. The bicycle is just really central to my life. It's kind of something that that grounds me. That in a really changing world, the bike is something that has stuck with me and that stayed with me, that I've continued to have be a part of my life.
Sean, I've really been looking forward to this interview today because I brought a bike in. I just purchased it. It's a used bike, and I can't wait to see what you have to say about it. Why don't we go have a look?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Excellent. So Sean, this is my bike. I just bought it used. When you're buying a new bike, what should you look for?
Well, if you bought this used, you got a really good deal, because this thing looks like it was barely used.
Yeah.
So when you're buying a used bike, the main things you want to look for are the most important safety features, being the brakes and the drivetrain. So first thing I would do is I would just take the tire and I would just spin the tire. And I'd listen to see if there's any rubbing on the brakes. You don't want a little bit of rubbing, is pretty common, but you don't want a lot of rubbing, and especially you don't want it to really stop too prematurely. Then you want to test the brakes out, make sure that both brakes, when you press the brakes, they're both going in, they're both coming out. And you'd probably want to do that on the front and on the rear. Make sure the wheel's spinning well. Why don't you try those brakes? It'll be the brakes. Yeah, right on your right-hand side. Yep. Do it again. Okay, look at that. Yep, and both of those are coming off. That's good. You want to make sure. That it's going through all the gears. So you want to put it in the smallest cog in the front or the largest cog at the back, and you just want to take it through the gears.
And you can see it switching.
I can see it moving.
Right.
You know what? This one has a few. It's not doing super well. So it tells me that there is a little bit of a shifting issue. And then you'd come to, if I can just move this alongside, you'd kind of start to look at how the derailleur's hanging here. And you'd want to see if there's an obvious bend to it. Because that would affect the shifting. And maybe this derailleur's got a little bit of a bend to it, maybe not. It's hard to, I don't see anything really that's standing out going, yeah, this is definitely going to be a problem. So
this bike has 6 gears. How much of those gears do you use typically? Do people use all 6 gears, or?
Well, typically you'll stay in about 2 or 3 gears. You also have 3 gears on the front. So it's actually 6 times 3, which would be 18 speeds total. And that's the smaller ones on the front chainring will make you pedal faster. Sorry, it'll be easier to pedal. So when you're going uphill, you want to be in a smaller chainring on the front, and a larger chainring when you want to go faster. If you're going downhill or if you've got a lot of momentum.
So when you get on a bike, what gear do you start at?
I start in a lowest gear as possible.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I started in easiest to pedal gear as possible. So that when you start, your revolutions are fast, and then you can gear up as you're going faster.
So as you go faster, you keep gearing up.
Yeah.
And then if you're going uphill, you're gearing up at the top, or
so as you're
the highest number? Or?
Well, as you're going up, so don't necessarily think of it as high number, low number. Think of it as you'll intuitively know. I turn this in one direction and it gets harder to pedal. I turn it in another direction and it gets easier to pedal.
Okay.
When you're approaching a hill, you want to get as much speed as you can into the hill, and then as you've kind of if you've gone as fast as you can, you want to kind of lay off for a second and bring everything down so that you're at a pace that you can comfortably go up the hill. There's a bit of a science to it.
How often should you get your bike maintained?
It's a great question. Really, typically, if you learn some basic things that you need to take care of, generally you don't need to bring your bike in until you start noticing a few things are out of whack. Mm-hmm. The gears will go out of whack, and out of whack. They won't shift right. They won't hold right. That's a good time to bring it in for a tune-up or to get the gears adjusted. You'll notice the brakes, the cables will stretch, and over time, it'll get closer and closer to the handlebars, and it'll decrease the braking power over time. Those are good things to get adjusted. A lot of people can do those things on their own. And one thing that I think everyone should do is oil their chain. Yeah. But you want to understand that there's two main kinds of bike oils to put on your chain. There's a thicker one called wet, and then there's a thinner one, less viscous, but it also washes off very fast. The wet goes on thicker, stays on longer, but it attracts more grime. So if you do riding with a lot of dusty areas on dirt roads, you might want to consider getting a dry, because you'll have to apply it more, but it won't get that grime. And a wet is more suited to conditions where you're biking a little bit in the rain. So in a perfect world, if you had all the time in the world, you would go to each link and you would just drop a little bit of lube on each link.
Right.
I don't have time for that, and I doubt you have time for that, but some people might have time for it. So in that case, instead of doing that, we would just do a nice quick line, nice even, and you're just getting it on the inside there. You're getting in between those links, and you've gone all the way around. You want to take off any excess lubricant that you just put on there, because anything that you can take off doesn't help you at all anyway. Right. So anything on the outside of the chain, where it's only helping is on the inside in those little pivot joints.
So what is the major thing that goes wrong with bikes? What is the one thing that everybody should look for?
Well, I think the most important thing is that you have brakes, because brakes are going to allow you to stop, and you should have well-maintained brakes. That's probably the most important thing to make sure is in working order, are the brakes.
Do you consider a bike seasonal? Is it just something for summer months? Is it something that people can use all year round?
You can absolutely bike all year round. I bike all year round. I buy studded tires. I put them on my bike. I get groceries. I don't really bike when there's probably any more than about an inch of snow on the ground. That's kind of my cutoff point. But they have fat tire bikes that can go on packed snow. Biking is definitely a year-round event if you want it to be. If you want it to be, you can bike any time of year. Not during a snowstorm, not during an ice storm, but you can definitely bike year-round. That's great to know, because I think a lot of us think we invest in a bicycle and we can only use it for 3 or 4 months out of the year. But from what you're saying, it definitely is something that you can start to expand and do more often. So, absolutely, but I will say that biking in the wintertime will prematurely wear down your bike. Right. So the salt will have a corrosive effect and a deteriorating effect on your bike. Like your car. Yeah, exactly, like your car. Thank you, Sean. This has been really informative. I've learned a lot about my own bike and also about cycling in general. I really appreciate the contribution that you're making to the community here with your bike shop, and I really appreciate everything that you showed us today. Thanks again. Thanks, Jesse. My pleasure. When we come back, I will be needling my way into relaxation with acupuncturist Ashley Vautour. Hi, I'm Jesse Dunfield, nutrition and wellness coach at Simply for Life.
Today we are in St. George talking with acupuncturist and reflexologist Ashley Vautour. Ashley, I am so excited to be here to talk to you about acupuncture. I've been one of your clients before and I had an amazing experience, so I've really been looking forward to this.
Thanks.
So tell me, what is acupuncture?
So acupuncture is a kind of an ancient Chinese holistic medicine. It's using disposable sterile needles and placing them throughout the body at really specific pressure points, and it helps with a multitude of conditions and issues that people are dealing with.
So tell me, what was your journey to acupuncture? What got you interested in doing acupuncture?
Yeah, I grew up doing a lot of natural medicines growing up, specifically allergy elimination. And there was an acupuncture component in those treatments. So yeah, I did lots of that growing up, help with loads of issues, hormonal, allergies, all that good stuff. And when I had graduated, I really didn't have a direction that I really wanted to go in. So I figured I would kind of jump on that opportunity that came up to me to sit in on a class. And yeah, I loved it ever since that.
What are the benefits of acupuncture?
Yeah. So I see a whole variety of issues. The most common thing that I see would definitely be pain. So if you're having any type of pain, inflammation issues, it definitely can help with that. I see a huge variety of digestive issues as well. Really helps regulate all the digestive organs, make sure everything's moving properly. I also see a lot of mental health conditions as well. And it does a lot for that as well, helping relax the body and everything.
I understand that acupuncture can be really good for anxiety. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I see lots of anxiety, depression, ADHD, and I find pretty much all of my clients that have come in for it have found it to be very beneficial.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are people receptive to acupuncture?
Nowadays, yes. I find it is kind of the social norm. It's very much accepted now versus when I started this whole kind of journey about 10 years ago. It was definitely a little more taboo. People didn't really know what it was or was really, really skeptical versus now, yeah.
What is the biggest change you have seen with the acceptance of acupuncture in the last few years?
I think a lot of people thought it was almost like a witchcraft kind of thing, or
very like woo-woo.
Yeah, like really energy, like
Right,
I'm
yeah.
meditating or something. I still kind of get that every once in a while, but it's really uncommon. People definitely are a lot more receptive to really what it is and
And
how
I
it
think
helps.
Yeah, and I think that would probably be because so many people have had great results with it.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so they're telling their friends, they're telling their family,
Yeah.
I've done acupuncture and it's really helped me a lot.
Yeah.
What would you say or would you be able to give a couple examples of people that you treated that really helped?
There is this one client. I still regularly am seeing him, but he had an issue with, he had COVID and lost all of his sense of taste and smell. And after just 3 sessions, I believe, he had gotten it back pretty much consistently. And of course, we have to kind of maintain that. But it was pretty cool since I've never really seen that before COVID.
Right. Yeah.
To really be able to see those kind of results was very interesting.
Amazing. So how often should people go for acupuncture?
Yeah. So initially, you do want to come a little bit more frequently. Generally, I see people kind of a condensed treatment. So like 4 times in about 2 weeks or 4 times in a month, depending on the issue. And typically around that 4 times, things should be improved quite a bit. And then we'd start to space out the appointments and get people to kind of a maintaining schedule, which I usually see people every 4 to 6 weeks for maintenance.
Right.
But yeah.
And it's covered by insurance now, is it not?
Yeah.
By a lot of people's insurance?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huge majority.
I understand that you also do reflexology. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so reflexology, I do foot and hand reflexology. So it's basically a hand or foot massage, centering around the reflex areas, so the nerve endings of the body. So those areas will reflect certain organs or body systems. I often use it for a lot of diagnosis tools as well, just to kind of see if there's some kind of mystery thing going on. It's also great for, of course, dealing with any foot pain or hand pain. That's quite common as well.
With acupuncture, it works with meridians. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's the, what do you call it? That's the fundamental principle of it. Yeah, so working with energy channels, the meridian channels that run up and down the body. Yeah.
So you told me something about when you were doing acupuncture that you could almost feel the indentation. Is that correct?
Yeah. So it takes a lot of practice, of course, but it's not about so when I'm finding a point, it's definitely about knowing the location measurements, but it's also about the feel. So I'll often feel for either like a hot spot or like a bit of an indentation, and that's usually where an acupuncture point would sit.
Oh, wow. It's so fascinating that you can actually feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're going to do a little bit of acupuncture on me.
Sure.
And just so that we can show people what is involved.
Yeah.
So why don't we do that?
You definitely can.
Okay.
All set, Jesse?
All set. I'm feeling very relaxed. So what is the first thing that we do?
Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to disinfect the areas that I'm going to place the needles in. And then I'm going to place them.
Excellent. So how many needles does somebody typically have put in a session?
So it really depends on the condition or area of concern. But I usually see I probably do anywhere from 10 to 15 during a session.
And how long do they stay in for?
Yeah, so they stay in for about 30 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and most people do fall asleep. It's quite a relaxing treatment.
I could see why. I'm falling asleep now.
All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to place a few pins throughout your body.
Okay, I'm ready. Wow, is that in?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't even feel it.
Yeah, it's quite painless.
It sure is. What is that center point for?
Yeah, so that point specifically would be for promoting relaxation.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm already relaxed. I'm going to fall asleep for sure.
Yeah.
And what is this point for?
This point is also for relaxation. I find the combination of the two work really well together.
I gotta say, you can barely feel it.
Good.
I would not know that I have needles in my head right now.
Go ahead.
What is the limit to how many you would put in at one session?
Well, usually I like to just do about maybe a max of 20. But I mean, I've seen lots of different practitioners do more, or even a lot less. So it really just depends on the practitioner.
Right. So 20 needles, that seems like quite a bit.
Yes, it's not common that I do that many.
As a nutrition and wellness coach at Simply for Life, I have a lot of clients that are managing menopause symptoms. And when I was talking to you the other day, you were telling me that this can be fantastic for menopause.
Yeah.
Could you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, I see a lot of women with going through menopause, and a really common symptom that I see is hot flashes. And I do find that acupuncture works really, really well at getting rid of hot flashes permanently, really.
Really?
Yeah. Okay, Jesse, so we're all set up though here, okay? So I'm going to let you relax for about 5 to 10 minutes, and then I'm going to come check on you.
Excellent. Thank you.
How are you feeling, Jesse?
Well, I feel very relaxed. I can see why people fall asleep when they're doing this.
Yeah.
And I couldn't even feel the needles in.
Good.
Yeah, it just felt like I was feeling peaceful. The time went pretty quickly.
Well, that's great.
Yeah, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Focus on Wellness is brought to you by our Simply for Life locations in St. Stephen, West St. John, and Sussex. It's a lifestyle, not a diet.